Hey, you're finally awake. Welcome back. Yeah, I know, we all had this weird collective fever dream. It was called State of Play for January 31st, 2024. And there's going to be another one on the 6th of February covering Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but this one was strange. A lot of games, many in development, not as many dates as I was hoping for, but I wanted to talk about what I saw nonetheless, give my thoughts on it, and for those of you who missed the showcase, you get a TLDR, you save 40 minutes of your life. So let's get into it. Things opened up with Helldivers 2. I really enjoyed the first Helldivers, this mixture of hardcore gameplay, high difficulty, friendly fire, destroying your teammates by accident was always a funny time. The amount of kits the game had, the build diversity, all pretty good. So Helldivers 2 looks like more of that to me, but a change in camera perspective and an upping in production value could either go for the game's positive or negative, depending on what they focus on the most. I didn't play Helldivers for high production value. I played it because the gameplay mechanics were really fun and unique and hardcore, and so I hope that's retained here in Helldivers 2. I will be checking it out with an open mind. I'm excited for it, but right now I'm swamped with JRPGs I'm loving, from Grand Blue to Persona 3 Reload. I'm looking at Infinite Wealth across the pond right now going, man, I want to play that game too. And then I'm addicted to Tekken 8. So yeah, busy boy right now. So I'm putting Helldivers 2 on the back burner, but it does look pretty good. The first game we got a real deep dive into that took up a chunk of the showcase was Stellar Blade. This is coming out April 26th of 2024, and it's one of the few first half exclusives for PlayStation. And when this game was first revealed, I really liked the presentation and the gameplay, but I wanted to see more because at first it kind of reminded me of a Platinum-like game, very action-focused, very flashy-focused. I wanted to see what more they'd offer. They have this city space like that reminded me a bit of Gravity Rush in a weird way, like not this humongous open world, but like a condensed city space. And I really appreciate Gravity Rush. Like, it's one of my favorite Vita games when it was exclusive there, and I adore it. So it kind of gave me that weird memory there. But when it came to the gameplay, seeing the boss fights extensively seemed more mechanically sound, really brutal at times, like ripping creatures in half and everything. The game's really reminding me of Nioh in that I think of Nioh as this game that's a genre bender. Like, it's just pulling from every game in the book, and you can see a lot of it throughout every step of the game. And to see that here in Stellar Blade, I was not really anticipating. So it went from a game that I went, yeah, I'll check it out when I can, to like, okay, I really do want to play this. So it looks like a good time. A big focus on the story too, which caught me off guard. I didn't know if this was going to be a story-driven game. Just every time we saw it, it was more about the gameplay, but they spent time showing characters and how your actions will have people warming up to you more. So I'm keen to see where this game goes. Stellar Blade looks like a good time. After this, we got the announcement of the show. Unfortunately, this one leaked, and even more unfortunate, they didn't really show enough. It was a strange trailer, but it was Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. For those who want to check out Retro Rebound, we just happened to have posted a video about Sonic Generations in 2024. So please check that out if you want to, catch up on Sonic Generations. We just, had a feeling something might be, who knows? Anyway, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, like Sonic Generations is my favorite modern Sonic game. It is incredible feeling, the throwbacks to all the levels, as well as, just having a beautiful blend of 2D and 3D Sonic, the trick system. It's so fun to play. And then you check out behind me here, you got my boy Shadow. See, he's always lurking in the background of the video. Shadow is my favorite character in all of Sonic. Shout out to Sonic Adventure 2. Absolute tragedy of a video game when you really think about the story there. And I say that as a compliment, by the way. Not, the game is great. So yeah, he is a tragic character. And so to see him back in the spotlight, finally, like, yeah, this man deserves his own game. I know Shadow the Hedgehog, like, we try to forget about that. But yeah, I was all about this. It's coming autumn 2024. I wish we learned more about, like, what are the new levels? Is there a new story? Like, what are you adding here? But Sonic Generations is definitely a safe pick. I think if I were to pick, like, a Sonic game to get a remaster or a remake, really, it would definitely be Sonic Unleashed if we were picking from the modern game. So I'm going to go put Shadow back on his seat, and then we're going to keep going through the showcase. So yeah, this show was a little strange because there was a lot of things announced to be in development. One of them, which is a big deal, might I add here, because the Hoyoverse just has games that have millions of players, and if you are a console manufacturer and you have games like that exclusively to your platform, you're going to make millions of dollars. So it was announced that Zenless Zone Zero is in development on PlayStation 5, in all transparency, we have done integrations here on the channel in the past for Zenless Zone Zero, so I just want to make that clear. But yeah, I actually think this game looks great. I mean, it has this high quality action focused gameplay, but also seems to have social elements that remind me of Persona. So I'm really keen to play this game, and I'm excited that PlayStation fans are going to get their hands on it. Afterwards, a collaboration was announced in Dave the Diver with Godzilla. I have yet to play Dave the Diver, so I have little thoughts on this one, but that's arriving May 2024. They just did a collaboration with Dredge, now this, so I'm just here wondering what's next at this point. And should I wait to start Dave the Diver until Godzilla arrives or what? But I love that this kind of smaller game that was mistaken as an indie game is getting so much love here that it's making a ton of collaborations, because it feels like we don't see pixel art games rise to the top enough. After this, we learned about V Rising coming to PlayStation 5. Like I said, a lot of this game's in development. This game's coming to PlayStation 5. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because if the heavy hitters hit, then it kind of makes you brush past these things. But for me, a lot of the big things didn't show out for me personally in my taste. So seeing stuff like this, I feel could have been reserved for the PlayStation blog, where a lot of people do check for announcements. That's just my 2 cents. But I think the real reason the show was made was for things like Stellar Blade and these next set of announcements, as well as, of course, what Kojima had to show off. But these next set of announcements were pertaining to the Silent Hill franchise. So Konami is gradually scratching and clawing their way back into games, and you can tell they are gingerly investing. Nothing they've shown off thus far has really captured me outside of the TMNT Cowabunga collection. So yeah, if that tells you anything about where Konami's at right now. But yeah, they are doing a new Silent Hill game called The Short Message. It's a full free-to-play game available today. The second I saw Konami crossing over with free-to-play, I definitely got a little scared. So Silent Hill fans, I am wishing you the best. It's a first-person game that you look at, and I feel like Silent Hill fans may get a sour taste in their mouth, only because you think of PT and what could have been, and hopefully what OD is going to be, right, with Xbox. But nonetheless, you look at the first-person hallway crawler here, and I think about what could have been, which was an excellent, tense survival horror kind of experience. And here in Silent Hill, The Short Message, a free-to-play Konami game, kind of scares me a little bit. So we'll see what that's all about. But I don't want to judge a book by its cover. I'm interested to see the reaction. I didn't see anything in the gameplay. I've become more critical of these trailers lately. Like, I want to see what I'm going to be playing, and all I saw was running down hallways and opening doors. I didn't see much of the experience there, so I didn't feel particularly enthused. What I am enthused by, though, is Silent Hill 2. I played that for the first time last year and absolutely loved it. One of my favorite horror games, if you will. Some people go back and forth on if it's just a psychological thriller or whatnot, but I would throw it in the horror category because it could be pretty creepy with Pyramid Head. But yeah, I played that for the first time last year and absolutely loved it. One of the most thought-provoking games that you can experience. The ending is incredible, certainly worthy of a remake, but also one of those scary remakes. I understand, because as a KOTOR fan, when I heard about KOTOR remake, I was like, this is necessary, I think, but do not screw it up. And Silent Hill 2 had all these little things that just gave it charm, some probably not even intentional. And so with Silent Hill 2 Remake, the question was, what were they going to do to retain that charm there? Music sounds really good. It's by Bloober Team, who did games like The Medium and other horror games that they just haven't clicked with me before. And yeah, this looks like a Bloober Team game. It looks like that halfway there kind of experience. Visually it looks good, but when you look at the blood coming out of some of the enemies and the gunplay, it's just not up to snuff. And maybe I'm spoiled by the likes of Dead Space Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake, but I can't help but glance at this and think to myself, why are we not pouring more money into this? This should do gangbusters. We should really go all out for it. But I don't think it looks bad. I'm happy to see the melee combat looks better. That was a point of contention naturally in Silent Hill 2 in the original game. But yeah, this is another one that I think I can gauge my expectations properly, because it just didn't give a release date. It just said it's in development. So it was good to see it. It's looking good for where it is. Since they haven't committed to a date, I imagine it's still a ways out. So I'm happy to just kind of chill here and say, okay, it looks good for where it's at. And if they get another year or so, then great. This game's going to be probably in much better shape when they start to polish things up. But yeah, it was a real focus on action, which was also kind of strange, because if you play Silent Hill 2, it's not there's a lot of combat. It's a lot about atmosphere. So interesting to see the change there. I mean, I guess you could choose how often you want to engage when you're going from point A to point B. We'll see just how like open this game is, how many like the houses are explorable in Silent Hill. But nonetheless, game looks solid. But what looks great, probably game of the show for me, is Judas. This is another one in development. The rumor is like 2025, 2026 for this one. But Ken Levine can't miss. This dude has never missed in my entire lifetime. So I have all the faith in the world that Judas will deliver nothing short of an exceptional experience here. I saw space. I saw us getting monitored. The bottom left corner when the beginning of the trailer started was mentioning like AI. We saw it kind of flickering between realities. I can already tell this is going to be a mind-bending experience straight from Ken that I cannot wait for. So BioShock fans, buckle up. We saw a bit of the gameplay. Gunplay didn't look as snappy or as reactive as maybe we were used to with BioShock, but you saw the kind of plasmid gun combo. Sold, man. Sold. Every day of the week, sold. Judas looks incredible. We got a couple of PSVR 2 showings. We saw Metro Awakening coming this year. I recently just got a MetaQuest 3. We're doing a video on it in the coming days. But yeah, I've got back into VR gaming, and I got to say that a Metro game in VR, this was leaked, I believe, but it looks pretty cool. Like, I love Metro. I wasn't thrilled with Exodus, but I love Last Light, and I love 2033. So these are great games that fit for VR because they're a mixture of first-person shooting, which I think works really well in VR naturally, but also like horror elements, like real intense atmosphere, creatures jumping out of nowhere and screeching, like very low music running. It's a perfect fit for VR, so I am optimistic for this one, and it's a good get for PSVR 2. There was also Legendary Tales. The combat in this game looks great. It's coming out in a little over a week, same day as Helldivers 2, so if you're a PSVR 2 owner, I would say look into Legendary Tales. Like, the combat looked awesome. There was a lot of fast-paced deflecting and throwing spells and whatnot. I saw co-op at one point. Like, I thought this looked really, really good. So another great get. PSVR 2 has some seemingly great apps that have at least caught my attention. Afterwards, we saw Dragon's Dogma 2. This game continues to look like a Game of the Year contender for me as a big Dragon's Dogma 1 fan who always thought, like, you know, why don't people get it? It's amazing to see this game getting so much spotlight and being so true to itself. It definitely feels like the Baldur's Gate 3 moment for Dragon's Dogma where, hey, we're getting all this mainstream attention and they haven't changed a thing. Like, it still looks super janky and it still looks super crazy and out there, and there's like a single save file in the game. It's been confirmed. Yeah, like they at one point froze the ground and ran up the ice and jumped on top of a big creature's back. Like, the creativity looks off the charts here. So very excited for Dragon's Dogma 2. There was Rise of the Ronin. This is where I think Team Ninja's kind of like a warm blanket style studio. Like, they're almost the Japanese version of Obsidian. Like, Obsidian does really great games that I love, but I don't think many people in the traditional gaming sphere would call them groundbreakers. They kind of take the things people did and I think look at the flaws for them and do them better while maintaining the spirit of the thing you love. So I look at like The Outer Worlds versus a traditional Fallout game and how like it cleans up a lot of the things that maybe Fallout would have missed. And so I look at what Team Ninja does, and they study, you know, Ghost of Tsushima and Nioh and Sekiro, and they're like, what's wrong with these games? And Wolong was a perfect example of that. Like, I like Sekiro, but I loved Wolong because Wolong had Sekiro mechanics with RPG elements, and that spoke to me personally more. Not that Sekiro is a bad game. So I feel Team Ninja just finds these pockets, and this one's like, okay, Ghost of Tsushima, but also like Nioh, but also Sekiro. I mean, just bringing them all together, a focus on a main character, which is pretty unique for their titles. They haven't really done that since the first Nioh from my memory. And also there's going to be choice and consequence, they're saying, for different allegiances within the story. So I'm interested in that. You were grapple hooking and gliding all over the place. Looks pretty good to me, so I'm excited for it, quite frankly. Not too much longer for that one. Same release date as Dragon's Dogma 2. Here's where it got weird. Like, this is where it just I really don't know what's going on at PlayStation. I don't get, as someone who's a massive fan of PlayStation, although people online see I talk about Xbox a lot and think I cannot stand the brand, I look at an Until Dawn remake and almost pulled my hair out on the spot. I'm like, are you serious? Until Dawn, what do we need to do here? I'm gonna try to keep an open mind because I loved Until Dawn, I really did, But what are we remaking here? Is it just like, what is with the double dipping with PlayStation? The remasters of The Last of Us, like at least part 1, I can kind of get, I guess, like not the remake really, but at least the remaster kind of makes sense. Like, okay, that's updated. Part 2 getting remade, I don't get it. The director's cut, nickel and diming there. Then you see Until Dawn getting a remake. I'm frustrated because I'm not understanding the vision. I see something like this, I don't get why. Like, do we just want to make games more beautiful? Okay, cool. Are they going to charge for this? We don't really know yet. Are they going to change the story? We don't know yet. I don't know. I really thought Until Dawn was a brilliant video game. I don't know what needs changing. So maybe someone can inform me why it needs a remake. But that was my honest to God. Like, I haven't gone, you guys know I'm not really on social media anymore. Like, I just saw it. I don't get why this would need one. I know there was murmuring about it, but I was like, there's no way. Like, why would you ever need to remake Until Dawn? But coming this year, so we'll see. Anyway, last game of the show was Death Stranding 2. That's coming in 2025. And they also announced at the end of it all a new action espionage game, which Herman Holst made sure to mention twice. He's like, I've been pushing for this. I think to tell the PlayStation audience, like, who have been, why are you guys making them do Death Stranding? Like, have them do a new Metal Gear style game. And then Kojima said, yeah, because PlayStation has like movies and music, we think this is going to be a great partnership. And when they pulled out the camera at the end, you see the Columbia Pictures imagery. And I'm like, oh, so they're going to make a movie for this and a game for this. They're doing something crazy with it. So I am keen on that. Death Stranding 2 looks good, but I don't connect with Kojima outside of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, I think. Like, I want to be like other people where see that trailer and go, oh my God. And I think because it's weird and also AAA, that's what clicks. When you see Troy Baker sliding around on his knees with a guitar sword, yeah, it's wild and it's out there, but I want to connect with characters and connect with this world. And I don't think the trailer captures that. It captures actors who are really good at their job doing fun things that feel like there's no cohesion in the trailer itself. I like that we saw some gunplay. That made me happy because the thing that's pushed me away from Death Stranding is I believe people who say like, yeah, man, it's actually, the gameplay is pretty good when you're building your own roads and you're, trekking around with boxes. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool and all. But then I personally want to, play something in between there. Like, I want to have that more style of gameplay. And apparently the extended cut ameliorates some of that, but this looks more my speed. I also appreciate the environmental diversity. It looked like there were a ton of different regions, so I'm really keen to see how that goes. If it's got a little Metal Gear Solid 5 where you're going to be like dropping into different maps or something like that. Really interested though. But yeah, Death Stranding 2 is coming 2025. I don't think it looks bad, but it didn't light my fire, and it was kind of like the perfect cap to a really weird showcase where we got few dates and more games announced to just be in development, which I don't think is the point of, especially a state of play, which is a more like to the minute style showcase, where what PlayStation did last year, like the expectations were high, like, hey, this is a showcase, where state of play is more compact and doesn't need to pull the trigger on things that aren't close by. But a lot of times it feels like marketing obligations being met, like, hey, Hoyoverse, we made this marketing deal with you. You've got to announce this Zenless Zone Zero game on PlayStation 5 by this date. So it's like, okay, let's start putting together a state of play. Like, it starts to feel a little obligatory, but nonetheless, that's what you got in the state of play. I thought it was a weird one, not gonna lie. Like, it wasn't bad, but definitely like that mid-tier kind of showcase where a lot of what I saw, I can't go hard on an opinion one way or another because I only got a couple of extensive showings, but there were some that were not convincing. So I look forward to seeing your thoughts down below. Fire away. And with that, take excellent care of yourself. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.